This will be our warm-up to 7.1. Solve for theta between 0 and 2 pi. 3 sine of theta equals -2. This is a grade 12 question because the domain is in radians. If the domain was in degrees, this would be exactly the same as a question in grade 11. Okay, to check how you did. Able to get sine theta by itself. Get a reference angle by doing sine inverse of positive 2/3. And then sine is negative in quadrant, 3 and 4. Did you guys do all right in 10? Okay. Third one. Now we're going to non-calculator. The first two were calculator. These next two are non-calculator. There's only 4. Kind of running out of space. That's why I said to start on page 572. Yeah. So if you did try to draw that triangle and you would have adjacent and hypotenuse, you're like, what? How's that possible? It's not possible. And that is the answer to that question. It's not a trick question. It comes up often enough that by the end of the year it's supposed to be just common sense. As soon as you get sine or cos and the ratio is bigger than 1, that's not possible. You can't have the opposite over hypotenuse or adjacent over hypotenuse bigger than 1 because your hypotenuse has to be the largest. Okay, and in the last one, I'm introducing to you what 7.1 is about. You usually solve between 0 and 2 pi, or -2 pi and 2 pi. What that means, what I've underlined in green, is you have to solve every single angle forever.
That's not intriguing.
Yeah. So this one will have an infinite amount of answers. Start writing them down and quit when you're done. Off, you get tan by itself. You get -1 over root 3, which you recognize is the same as -root 3 over 3 after you rationalize. So on your unit circle, you'd have 5 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. But the answer for this one, we can write like this. This is new. Don't be too scared yet. And all I'm doing in the new part is writing all the coterminal angles with 5 pi over 6. So this was on your take-home quiz that you just got back. 5 pi over 6 plus 2k pi would be every single thing that's coterminal with 5 pi over 6. And 11 pi over 6 plus 2k pi would be everything coterminal with 11 pi over 6. Does it make sense that if you add 2k pi, where k is an integer, that is coterminal angles?
Does it always have to be 2k pi?
Well, if it's a coterminal angle, you'll add 2k pi. Okay? Now, this same question sometimes comes up in multiple choice, and they say, if I look at these two angles, here's 5 pi over 6 in quadrant 2, here's 11 pi over 6 in quadrant 4. If I start at 5 pi over 6 and add 2 pi, that would get all the way around and get back to where I started from. But if I start at 5 pi over 6 and I just add pi, can you see that I would go halfway around, hit 11 pi over 6, If I add pi again, I'd get here, then here, then here, then here. And so a shorter way to write this one would be just to start with 5 pi over 6 and just add k pi, halfway around, halfway around, halfway around, halfway around, and then you wouldn't have to write the other one. Both would be considered right, but if you had a multiple choice question where they only listed this as the answer, you would have to understand it. Okay?